Sorry about all the movement. Hello, 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 and welcome to Beavis Crafty Corner. I am Bima, better known as Els, and today we are starting what looks to be, I don't know, this is like going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably like 9 weeks of Build-A-Journal 101. We're going to talk about all the basics. We're going to talk about all the different parts and pieces, and we're going to put this whole thing together. Today, we're starting at the beginning. We're going to start with covers. So I'm going to wait for everybody to show up who wants to show up for this. So we're going to give it like 10 minutes or so, and then we're going to go ahead and start. Hi, Harry. Hello, Miss Gypsy. Hello, Deborah. Look at, I cleaned all this off today. He's mad at me because there's nothing for him to play with. I cleaned it all and got it all in bins. So it's all neat and organized now. So I can just pull them out and see what I want and put them back. Yeah, I did that. Hello, Miss Marjorie. My son was just here. He brought me a birthday present because I haven't seen him since my birthday, but he brought me a gift card for Olive Garden because I love Olive Garden and he knows it. And it kind of holds a special place for us because it is where I met his wife for the first time, which was very different because his first wife, he never introduced me to her before they got married. And he was very adamant that I meet his wife before I, and we all know how that went. Because I looked at her and I was like, look, I just have one question. Do you love him and my granddaughter? And she was like, oh, yes. And I was like, good. Then your family, welcome home. Yeah. Hello, Miss Mari. Hello, Marie. That's okay, Aurora. We're going to go very slow through this, and you'll have the whole week to rewatch the video and pick and put together all the parts. I did find one thing when I was cleaning this up here, guys, that it's driving me nuts now that I'm aware of it. I apparently have 2 jars of these little pink clips, and I have them in 2 different places, and they're both half jars. So I got to pull the other one out. It's way over in the corner. I got to pull it out and fill that other jar up so that I just have 1 jar. Why would anybody have more than 1 jar? Harry, you are being a very annoying kitty. Let's get you some treats. Well, because you wait for the Gypsy, you wait for the closed caption to go on, and it always takes a couple of days. Oh, I was just outside. Miss Lily, her dad just picked her up, and they just went out the door. They're going to Cowabunga Bay. It's a water park, and he's going to buy them season passes. So they went over to Cowabunga Bay today. So he was just here. We were outside, like spraying that poor baby with SPF and just drowning her in it. Hello. All right. So we're going to wait just a couple of minutes for everybody to get in. I'm going to go grab some stuff. I'll be right back. Okay. Got all my stuff. Yeah, he's always trying to find stuff that he can take. So I moved the light over a little bit. It used to sit right here, and so I moved it over to here, and I'm trying to find something that we can use right now. Let's use tape. That it cuts down a little bit on the glare. Yeah, okay, it only flashes in a couple of places, whereas when it was over here, it like hit everything. So I'm hoping this helps moving it over, that you guys are going to be able to see. Yeah, see, this is so much better. A lot less glare. Okay, that makes me happy. She's keeping her wine and cheese. All right, so we're going to start. I know that I did this like build one, but we're going to do this one first. And then we'll do the build. So we're going to do this first. So if you, ladies, if you are using a book, like a Reader's Digest or something, that you are going to be upcycling, get that out. And here's the thing. You don't want a book that's more than 9 by 6, okay? And ours is about 5 3/4 by 8.5. So I'm probably going to have to cut my pages just a little bit, but, and here's the thing with a book like this, you really don't need to redo the cover if you don't want to. If you like the cover, because trust me, I know there's some Reader's Digests that have gorgeous covers. So if you just want to keep the cover just the way it is, you can do that and just cover the spine back up, So we are going to be gutting this book today. I'm going to show you. It's a very simple process, very, very easy to do. We're going to gut this, and then I'll show you how to reinforce this spine. All right. So we're going to do this one first and get it, and then we'll do the other one, because the other one has a lot more stages to it and a lot more pieces and parts. This is the easiest way to get a cover to make a journal. Okay. So for this one, what you really need is like an X-Acto knife or a box cutter or something like that. You need a razor. Okay. So whether you're using this or you're using an X-Acto knife, whatever, kind of X-Acto knife you have, whatever it is, I would say that if you are not experienced with this, these are probably the best tools. You could use a knife too if you have like just a really sharp knife. But these are probably the best tools. And the reason for that is because it limits the amount of blade that you have so that you don't cut through the binding. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is break the spine on your book. So you're going to pull your covers back and pull. Top, bottom, all the way. You want to get all the glue that might be in there. Separate it. You want to be able to see light on the other side of the rainbow. Okay. So breaking all of this, that's what you're going to do. So this is the hands-on part. We want as much clearance here as we can between the cover and the book block. Okay. So if you really pull on it, you'll see it'll start to see how that separates. That's what we want. Okay. So get your finger in there, use a chopstick if you have it, something like that. Maybe your ruler. You want to really break this binding. So if you have an old book where the binding's coming apart, all the better. Whew. I can see I've got just a little bit there still. I'm telling you, this is a great way to take out your aggression. You get mad at your partner? clean a book out. All right, so once you have it kind of all broken out like this, and you've got, you know, paper literally separating, see that? All that nice separation that we've got going on here. This is what we want. So what you're going to do is you're going to be very careful here. When you cut this out, you want to make sure that your blade is angled towards the book block. You don't want to angle it this way, because if you cut it this way, you could cut through this part of your spine. We can fix that, but rather not do it to begin with. So I always cut towards my book block. And I'm just going to take, I'm not going very deep, just some light slices, guys, okay? Just to break that and then pull. Get your finger in there. Your pokey tool, whatever you want to use. And you want to break that, because there's like a tape in here that's like a net. Always towards the block. Always towards the block. Okay? So now once I have that, the other part is easy. You just flip it over. And again, you're going to go towards the block. You've already broken most of this out. So all you're doing at this point is just cutting this end paper. Okay? And then there's that. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it. You see that net? That's the part you want to get rid of. But again, you don't want to cut towards this piece. You want to cut towards the block. Always towards the book block. So make sure your blade is facing towards the book block. Or break this with your fingers. You can break this with your fingers. If you have a very small pair of scissors, you could go in and cut it, and your book block comes out in one piece. Okay? You now have a workable cover. So pull out that book block. Do not get rid of this, because you know what? There's your book pages, guys, for all your pockets and stuff. That's all your pockets. Now, if you were going to turn this into like an upcycled journal where, you know, you're just using the book pages, you just go through and tear these out. You know, you go and you keep like 2 or 3, and then you tear out like 5 or 6. But that's for a different day. It's a totally different kind of book. So get your book block out. So yeah, just cut the netting, honey. Just cut that netting. If you can get that netting cut, get it cut. If not, just put your fingers in there and just break it. It's usually brittle enough that it'll just break with your finger. Okay? And if it doesn't, then, you know, get out a small pair of scissors and just cut that net. Once you have it exposed, just cut. Because you don't want to slice this. All right? And then, of course, you can use your scissors to clean up any of this that you don't want. Give yourself a straighter edge. Clean it up. Make it look pretty. Prettier. 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 I'm back on my meds, by the way. Hello, Aubrey. How are you? Hello, Christine. All right, so you don't need to take it all out. And I'll show you why. Because see where it goes? Way in there? You don't need to take all of that out. Just what holds your block in, okay? Just the block. We just want the block out. And then I'm just going to kind of trim this up a little bit. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But I'm going to, and then I'm just going to glue back down my parts that I have busted up in the corners here. And hopefully my glue's working today. It is. Yay. And this is just my regular glue, guys. There's nothing special about this. I'm just using it to kind of glue back down the corners that I pulled up. I could, if I could get these all the way off, I could take them all the way off because maybe I'm going to replace them. I don't know. Oh, let's get that off the floor, because if somebody gets that stuck in their foot, it'll be me. Here we go. Come here, you little booger. Ugh. Okay. Hi, Vanessa. All right. So book block has been removed. Reserve it. Maybe you want to read the book. Who knows? But you got the whole book intact, so you can do that now. You can also, like I said, you can use this to make book pockets and envelopes and ephemera. And one of the fun things you can do with this is you can use this as your pokey, like when you're doing your binding, you can actually poke into this. So having a book around, a book block, is always a good thing. Another thing you can do with this is when you're making your ephemera, you could come in here and spray this with some of your color sprays and then glue a couple of pages together and punch them out and make ephemera that way. We're going to talk about all of that in the ephemera class though, but keep that. Okay. So now this has no book board in it. It's very thin. So we're going to put book board in it. So if you are using a book like this, you're going to want a piece of chipboard. Let's talk about chipboard. This is chipboard I buy. 12 by 12 sheets of chipboard. I think these are 5mm. I do have some heavier that I use from time to time. But for this, we went with the 5mm because it's thick enough and you're going to add stuff to it. So it's going to make it even thicker. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut a piece that goes in here. So we're going to measure this opening. Which is about 1 1/4 inches. Here's the trick to this. Get that out of the way for a second. I'm going to go and put this on my board. And I am going to cut this. Let's talk about this. See that rubber? Rubber or cork. See this one? No bueno. Plastic? No bueno. Why? Because you can cut into the plastic. And if it's got metal and it doesn't have a non-skid on the back, it's going to slide all over your place. Okay. So we're going to go 1 1/4 for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out the longer ruler so you guys can see it. This one again has cork. So I'm going to go 1 1/4, but I'm going to shimmy in just a hair. Like not a full 1/8, just a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip. This is going to take a couple of passes. If you're using your paper trimmer, have a blade that you only do this with because it's going to dull your blade almost immediately. Okay. So now I have my height, well, my width, and I'm going to dry fit this. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that my book still closes without this popping up. And it needs to have a little bit more taken off of it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to shave it. Yeah, so Miss Lily's on her way to the water park, which means Buggy's king of the house again. Let's see how we did. Pretty dang good. We got it off of there. All right. Height is easy once you have your width. So put that back in. You want to make sure that your pages, your covers come up without without having your cardboard piece pop up. Okay. So this one looks pretty good. And I will tell you that this one that is 1 1/4 inches, and this is about 1 1/8 inches at this point. Okay. So then I'm just going to fit this in. I want this. Let me show you this. I want this to be just, see where the papers are? We're going to line it up with the papers. So we want it to be that same distance. Just like that. And then I'm going to mark up here where I want to cut it off at. So I'll use my ruler again. And you can use a pencil for this, or, you know, hit it with your trimmer, however you want. Don't cut all the way through, because if you cut all the way through, you're going to cut your book back, and you don't want to cut your book back. Okay. Now you have, you're good, Chris. Yeah, you've cut into them. I know you have. Everybody does. At some point, we all cut into them. And always close that. You know that it's dangerous. Get it out of your way. And now this is going to be your new spine. So you're going to put this in. Now, everybody talks about bookbinders glue. Okay. And I have a couple. So let's take a look at those. So we have this one, Linico pH neutral adhesive, pH neutral PVA. Also, this one is Books by Hand. It's a Linico product. It's the same product. This just has a different distributor. But here's the thing. Elmer's glue is pH neutral. All white glues are. And the reason is because they're all PVA glues, polyvinyl acetate, okay, or some weirdness like that. I keep mine in a little, a kid's, basically, this is a kid's glue bottle. And the reason that I keep it in here is because it makes it easier to apply it. It's kind of a pain in the butt because it always gets glued in there. But it helps me spread the glue out. So I have to clean that up. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on my strip. Be generous. I'm going to put some glue in here. And then I'm going to let the whole thing sit for a minute. I want this to be tacky. I cleaned off my desk just for this because I knew I was going to like show you guys stuff, and then I would have like piles of stuff. Hi, Margaret. So I'm just going to let this sit for a few seconds. I want it to start to get a little bit tacky, a little dry. Not completely dry, just a little bit. All right. If you don't have one of these, then a good solution for you is to put your glue into a jar where you can screw the lid on nice and tight, and use like a paintbrush or one of these glue spreaders and spread your glue. Now I can see this is starting to get a little clear in some spots. That means it's starting to dry. So I'm going to take my piece and place it where I want it. I have a little bit of wiggle room here where I can like shoo this around. And I'm just going to press this in. You can use anything you want to press it. You could use a credit card or like a gift card, you know, one of those things, or you can use your brayer. You might have a like one this is stone or wood that's specifically for this job. If you have that, use it. If you don't, just manhandle it, okay? Yes, you having both is always helpful. Also, if you are like you want to brush your glue, a good recipe is 50% clear glue, 50% white glue, and just enough water to make it mix. And that will work with a brush. Okay. And I like to use like Aleene's tacky glue because it's thicker. And then the clear glue kind of thins it out a little bit. And the water just thins it even further. So once you have this glued in, you're going to let this dry. Patience is a virtue here. If you have some kind of clip or clamp, you might want to clamp it in just so that it doesn't shift on you or anything. And just set it and let it dry. Because until you start actually putting stuff in this book, there's not a whole lot left to do here. Okay? You've basically got a workable book. We'll talk more about it as we go through the steps. So now we're going to talk about making a book cover. Anybody who bought the kit, this is where that's going to come into play. So in your kit, you should have a strip of black paper that is on tissue paper. So it's really hazy in the back. This is your book cloth. Okay, I made this for you because it just seemed easier than having to have you all sit here and learn how to do this. But this is a very easy, basic construction. You take a piece of paper, a piece of fabric, and you apply heat and bond to the back of it. You do not need to sit here forever going, just warm it up and it adheres. So iron it on, let it cool, lift up the corner, and you want to see that it's shiny. That means that it's adhered. Okay, doesn't take very long. And then once you pull that paper, that backing off, just put a piece of tissue paper over it and just lightly press that down. You'll see the color change. You'll know that it's bound. I do have a full video on making book cloth, so we're not going to make it here. You've already got a piece that's made. This is one of those technical things that you need to learn over time. I want you to be able to not have to stress on this and just be able to go right into making your book. So this has already been made for you. You will have a piece for your spine, and you will have 2 cover pieces. In addition to those in your kit, you're going to find 3 pieces that are glued together. This is your spacer. This is not any different than one of these fancy spacers. Okay? This little fancy one right here, it's pretty much the same one as this. So no fancy tool needed here. We have one. You can use this again and again and again. The trick to this is you want this to be 3 times the thickness of whatever your board is. So if you are using thicker board, then cut yourself 3 strips, glue them together, tap them down to make sure that they're even, so you can use them as a spacer. Okay. Now, also on here, you're going to want some Tyvek. I included a Tyvek envelope for each of you, which should get you another journal when you're done with this one. Okay. But if you don't have this and somebody mails you something in one of these priority envelopes, you can use this. Even though it's got this writing and stuff all over it inside and out, this is going to get covered. So don't worry about it. All right. So you can use a Tyvek envelope. So that's the basics of construction. But you're like, else, it's going to look like crap. You're right. It's going to look like crap. So let's talk about what we can put on the outside, because this is the part that you have to figure out, because it's your individual book. So you're going to want to figure this out. So let's talk about it. Okay. One of the first things, if you go to the Dollar Tree, you can get these. These are from Main Street. This is peel and stick wallpaper. Okay. So you can get this, and it comes in all different kinds of patterns. This is big enough to cover a book. How do I know that? Because you can take your pieces and put them on here and have enough room on the sides to fold it up. Okay? So that's what you're looking for. So when you do this, you want a piece of something if you're going to do one piece, you want a piece of something that is going to be your distance across your book plus about 3/4 of an inch to an inch on either side. Okay? That's how you can tell. But if you don't want to use one of these, and I will tell you that this will cover a 9x6 book. The other thing that you can use, if you have them and you like one of them, is these big pages of wallpaper. If you have pages like this of wallpaper samples, these are going to work. Okay. I don't know how big these samples are. Let's see. These ones are about, where's my big ruler? Okay. These ones are about 15 inches by 16, 15 by 16, so maybe 16 by 16. And this will work if you want to use this kind of, wallpaper. If you have that. If you don't have that, paper, scrapbook paper. You do not want cardstock. You want scrapbook paper for this, okay? And obviously, you're not going to get a piece that's going to be big enough, so you're going to cover this in parts. We're going to talk about that. Where do I get what, honey? The wallpaper samples? We're gonna talk about fabric too, honey. Just calm down. Okay, wallpaper samples. They're a little bit difficult, but here's the thing: if you live in an area, you can always go to usually about every 4 to 6 months. Home interior places, they change out their wallpaper books. So you could go in and you could get them. You can also go to, if you go to thrift stores, you're often going to find rolls or half rolls of wallpaper. You can look on Facebook Marketplace. They will have them. Or you can go to Etsy and buy wallpaper samples. You just have to look for somebody who's selling complete sheets. If you see somebody who's selling like sample pieces, you could actually reach out to them and say, hey, can I get a whole sheet? I have a roll of white wallpaper. It's textured white wallpaper. And I have used that on so many different books because I am able to paint it and dye it and change it to work for the book that I'm doing. Okay. So now this one is going to be, this one's going to be Peter Rabbit. So this I thought was kind of appropriate because it's got that wood grain look to it. And I'm going to show you how to cover with this. Now, if you're using fabric, you treat the fabric exactly like you do the spine piece. Make the whole thing into book cloth. Make sure that your piece is an inch and a half to 2 inches taller than your book and an inch and a half to 2 inches wider than your book. Okay? Turn the whole thing into book cloth. And then you can put it on your book. Yep, we already covered that one, Vanessa. Let's see what else. So fabric is a way of covering it. And it's just doing the same thing that you would to make. And I'm going to see if I can find that video real quick because I want you guys to have the link to it. So let me go here and get that video because I didn't prep that. So let me grab it. Okay, let me go ahead and grab this, share this, copy. Okay, so this is, that is the book binding, the book cloth It's called Book Cloth Fast and Easy. And it just shows you how to very quickly make the book cloth that you're going to want to use, okay? I have so many tabs open here. It's like my brain. Okay. So now we are going to bring this over. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. Okay. We're going to cover these. Now, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. This is not the only way, and it's not the best way. It's my way. Okay? I know a lot of people go, but that's not how so-and-so does it. I know. I'm aware. But this is how I do it. Okay? So, since I know that my cover is 9 by 6, I know I'm going to have 11, and I want to have 8. Do I need to take off the extra ½ inch? Not really. I don't have to if I don't want to. I'll take it off just for the sake of argument. Now, if you are covering this kind of a spine, you're going to need at least 2 to 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11 and at least 2 pieces of 12 by 12. Just the way it is. Good strips. Save those. Now, this one is going to go on here, and this is 2 inches wide. So I want this to be at least 3.5 by 11. So take this down to 3.5. And it's already at 11. Okay. So the formula for this, for your covers, is always 2 inches taller, minimal, 2 inches wider. That's what you need. Okay. So we're going to start with our actual covers. 1 piece of paper turned upside down. 1 piece of our book board. We're going to put glue on this. Okie dokie. All right. Glue. This again is where that spreader comes in handy if you don't have, if you have just a regular glue bottle and you're just putting glue on here, using a spreader is going to help. But, I mean, it's not like you don't need more tools than what you already have. You can use what you have. So we're going to put a generous amount of glue on here. Okay. And then we want this to be put onto our paper with that at least 1 inch all the way around. Eyeball it. Eyeball it. Then turn this over, and using a credit card or a gift card or your brayer or the side of your bone folder, whatever it is. This is going to be messy, by the way. It can be. Get that glue moving. Okay. I like to go around my edge. Just to make sure that I get it all on there. Let it dry. Glue is wet. Let it dry. We're going to do the other pieces. Paper, glue, book piece. Now, remember, you have a whole week to do this. If you have any questions, you can email me or instant message me, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And we'll walk through this, even if that means that I have to give you a Facebook call so I can see what you're talking about, okay? It's okay if you don't want to see me on camera. Just turn it towards your piece and go, this is where I'm at. And we'll walk through from there, okay? We'll do this one with the brayer since we did that one with the card. And when I do this, I like to go in both directions. And all I'm doing here is trying to force the air out from under the glue. You can feel it when you feel it. You'll feel air. Just push it out. That's two. We're going to let that one dry. Yes, those fake ones, like the buy this insurance ones, those are fantastic for this. I'm going to take this here. So we're going to put this one down. We're doing all three pieces. Is this piece going to be covered up? Yes, but we're adding to depth. We're adding to the thickness by doing this. Do you have to do this part? No. If you don't want to cover this piece, don't. But when this is all said and done, this is going to have multiple layers of paper on it. So it's going to be thicker. All right. So put those over there. Close that up. We're going to let those dry for just a few minutes. Yeah, it's going to be heavier. It's going to be thicker. It's going to have more layers to it. And the more layers it has, the sturdier it will be. But because this one we're doing with paper, we're doing with a paper cover with a fabric actually going over that. If you want to skip this part because you've got thick enough chipboard, then skip it. But if you want the extra thickness here, the extra volume, by all means, because when this is done, it's going to have Tyvek over it. It's going to have book cloth over it. So it's going to be pretty thick. Okay. But there's another kind of binding that you can do. I don't have an example of it here, but I do another binding. It's like a corset binding where it wraps around the centerpiece of the cover. So if you just learn to do this and you get used to this, that particular binding becomes second nature because you're already doing this. Okay. Hello, Miss Bonnie Fofo. Okay. So now we have this. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is not more than an inch, because I know it is. I can look right at it and tell you that it's more than an inch. So I'm just going to trim this down to an inch. Yeah, that's way more than an inch. So there we go. That's better. That one I did pretty good. So now you're going to cut your corners. Now there are these nice little tools that you can get that you put over the corner of your book and then you cut this off. And if you have this, great. Just, put it there. Get out your razor knife and cut this piece off. All right. Now, but if you don't have that, we're going to miter it. And you're going to use your scissors to do this. Ladies, you know how I always say be fearless? This is going to be one of those be fearless moments. Take your scissors. Go into your corner. Just before you get to your corner, stop. Then swivel your scissors and go out. Yeah, that's what that piece is for. So go in just before you get to your corner, stop, and go out. So these are kind of janky triangles, but you know, in towards your corner and out. Okay, because you want it to look like this. And you're going to do that to all your parts and pieces. So again, just take your, be brave. I know you guys can be brave. Okay, in towards your corner, stop short of it, turn. We've done lots of boxes. You guys know how to do this, right? These are weird kind of diamond-y triangle things. They really don't have a purpose. Get rid of them. Let me take a little bit off of this. A little bit down here. Okay, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Ooh, we got 2 strips out of that deal. Okay, put those with our strips. Why? Because we're using this as a cover. We might as well use the strips for the ephemera on the inside, right? Why did you put that in there, Einstein? I don't know. It goes up here. Yeah, so they do sell these kits. And I'm going to be honest, I've tried them. They sell these little kits. You can get these kits. I used to carry them in the shop. I've tried them. They really don't, for me, it was more of a hazard than it was, you know, helpful for me. This might be something that works for you. And if it does, all the better. But for me, it was not helpful at all. But I do keep it just because I like to use it for demonstration purposes. All right. So now, once you have this, this is where you're going to get out your bone folder, your tool. It doesn't matter what bone folder you use. If you don't have like a regular bone folder, but you have one of these, you can use that. If you don't have that, you can use one of these. If you don't have that, use the back of a butter knife. Tools should never keep you from doing what you want to do. Well, that's cool. All right, so now we're going to do this part. And the first thing we're going to do is take whatever we're using as our flattening and straightening tool, and we're going to push our paper up, folding it over our board and pressing it around our board. We're going to do that on all 4 sides. Fold it up, press it around. Press the edge, press the top. Because believe it or not, there's a little, like, you know, 1/16 of an inch or so there. And we want that to be covered and square, so it doesn't look bubbly later. Now, I'm going to tell you that this cutting the corners thing, it does take a little practice. Like, you're not just going to do it and they're going to line up perfectly all the time. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to press these back out and you're going to start opposite sides. I don't care which opposite you do. If you do side, side, that's fine. If you do top, bottom, that's fine. Okay, so if you guys want them, I'll order them. Okay? If you want those, I will order them into the shop. It'll take me about 8 days to get them. I can do the order today. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put glue on our flaps. Like I said, I like to do top, bottom. So glue on top. glue on bottom. And then we're going to fold these in. And you're going to press them down. Use your bone folder, use your credit card, use your brayer, whatever it is you're using, get this down, okay? Then turn it around and do the other side. All right, and then do your sides. Bring it in. Always start in the center, guys, okay? Always in the center, going out to the edge. Now, if you're like me and you didn't get glue like in this little corner right here, just go in there and put some glue in it and glue it down. Run your glue along the edge here, whatever it takes. Just get it glued down, okay? And then we'll do this side. Again, we're starting in the center and working our way out. And then we're going to let this dry, okay? That's your cover. We're going to let this sucker dry. So we're going to do this to all of our pieces, including our spine, because we're adding bulk to our spine. So I will go ahead and I will look and see where which one of my distributors has them, and then I'll order them for you guys, and we'll have them at least in time for the next live sale, okay? Or I can get them in the shop. But remember, if you guys want to shop in my shop, don't order from the shop. Go in there and browse, and then come to me directly, okay? Because one, it's going to be cheaper to get it directly from me than it is ordering through the shop, because I'm not going to have to pay the fees on it, so I take that off. And that way they can't charge me for advertising they didn't do. Because, oh yeah, they charge me for that. So has anybody seen this new thing that Amazon's done? I'm a little upset about it. Amazon has basically hijacked Etsy ads, Etsy shops. So if you have a shop on Etsy and you sell a physical product, they're not doing it with digital products, but they are doing it with physical products. If you sell a physical product, they can now buy that through Amazon, because Amazon is using AI to search for that stuff. So when somebody goes in and says, oh, I'm looking for a customizable Father's Day present, and you have something in your shop that fits that bill, Amazon is now hijacking it, and it gets sold through Amazon, through Etsy. And you kind of lose out on that. Yes, you get more orders that way because you have more exposure because, well, it's Amazon. But when somebody comes back and goes, well, I bought this, they're going to go, oh, I bought that from Amazon, not I bought that from so-and-so designer. So, not a great thing. Now, it doesn't affect my shop too much, although I have gone onto Amazon and searched for specific styles of journals and found my journals on Amazon. Most of my shop is not on Amazon. Now, if you want to make sure, you want to take this a step further while this is drying, you can put clips and clamps on it if you want to, or paper clips, or the little pink clamps or the binder clips, whatever it is you want to put on there. You can put that on there, absolutely. But we're going to let all of these dry for just a few minutes. So if you are working along and you're like, wait, that went too fast, you got a few minutes, you got a reprieve. Go ahead and finish up your pieces, and then we're going to let these dry for just a few minutes, and then we're going to come back. And when we come back to do this, I'm going to show you how to do the Tyvek and your spacing, okay? For this, I am using, it's a pH neutral adhesive from Linico. It looks like this. There's another manufacturer, another distributor that sells it in a label that looks like this. It's basically just Elmer's glue. Any PVA glue will do, which includes Elmer's. It's a polyvinyl something or other, but it's all pH neutral. But you could use Elmer's. I've also been known to do the whole thing with like barely, or art glitter glue at one point. I was bored. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry for a second. I'm gonna go refill my soda while y'all are kind of catching up. If you have any questions, don't forget, put them in the chat because I want to answer those. If I can, if I don't have the answer, I will get you an answer and get back to you. Also, during the week while you're working on this, getting your cover built, if you come up with something, just reach out. You can email me or instant message me. My email address is in the description, but you can go down there and you can email me and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this. If we're friends on Facebook, I will call you through Facebook if I have to see what you're talking about. Okay? Yeah, it's all just like Elmer's glue, really. So I'm gonna let these dry. I'm gonna get some soda. I'll be right back. Let it dry. Let it dry. Oh, I'm old.
Go potty. Go potty. Go potty. Oh, okay. Don't have to go potty. All right. Morning, ladies. Looks like she's left you for a moment. Donut. That's it. Time for me to start.
Go to work, you bum.
I know. I'm horrible, aren't I? Oh, excuse me. Time to do the tappity tap tap tap. Yakety yak yak yak. Now. Tappity tap tap. Yakety yak. Ooh, all right.
Yes, Mari. You can, as long as it's tall enough to fit in that space, you can use anything you want. As a matter of fact, if you're going to use, let me grab that cover real quick. Ooh, I have it over here. If you're going to use like a cereal box to do this, what I would do is cut like 2 pieces and glue them together because the cereal box is very thin. Just glue them together. Let them dry. Make sure you trim them even and that they still work in here without disrupting the cover. Okay? So as long as they work in there and you can safely fit that into the binding here, absolutely. Glue 2 or 3 pieces together if you need to get it to the thickness of your book board. We're all still waiting on his cooking channel, right? It would be a baking channel.
Me?
Yes. All right, so now we're going to move on to our Tyvek. Now, you guys all got a plain envelope. And I have some paper here. So there's a couple of ways to do this. We're looking for height. We want it to go all the way to the top, not partially. It needs to go all the way. So we know that this is 9 inches, so we need to cut this down to 9 inches. So let's cut our piece to be the height of our book. You do not use Tyvek if you're using an already made book cover. You don't need the Tyvek, okay? This becomes basically what the netting was to the book block. So I know my book is 9, my sheet is 11. So I'm just going to cut 2 inches off here. I'll keep that. I may or may not ever use it, but. And then I want about 1 inch on either side. This is 8.5 inches wide. I'm going to cut it to 4 1/4. That should cover both sides. Can you put more Tyvek? Yeah, go ahead. You do, you do. But I find that generally that's enough. Okay. All righty. So we're going to turn these this way. If you have one of these boards, use it. If you do not, but you have one of these,
Hello, Mark.
Use it.
Hey, Mark, this is Mike, Cox Business Support, calling on
because you want this to be straight, top and bottom. If you don't have that, get out 2 rulers, guys.
And you're my first call of the day, so
So here's
yes.
our piece. It's squared up on the T-square. Then we're going to be placing this piece. But here's the deal.
I was curious to
this piece needs to be, where it is, there it is, the distance of our divider. So put your divider in here and then put your piece in. That's your space between. Okay? We're doing this dry the first time because we want to make sure that we've got, you guys understand this part, okay? So now that you have that, you can pick this up, put it on the other side, make sure you don't move anything, and put this piece in place. That is your spread.
Okay.
Okay? Now,
I know he mentioned it in the notes that
you want your Tyvek to cover this area. So what I do is I fold my Tyvek in half.
But yeah, certainly. I mean, I can set this ticket for what particular time on Monday would you like us to give you a call?
And then I find my half here on this centerpiece. Okay, that's the important part. We want to line this all up. So we know that this is 2 inches. My ruler's 1 inch wide. Look, 1 inch wide. So I'm going to put this on here.
Yeah, that's us.
Put that on the edge. Make sure that it's right on the edge. And I'm going to draw a line down this. Right here. Because that is where I'm going to be putting this.
What do you?
Right down that edge. Okay? So I'm going to put glue on 1/2 of this. Doesn't matter which side. Glue. Put this down. Press.
Okay. Well, my best suggestion for that would be
Glue on the other side and then
those
open it up.
phones, they'll have a MAC address, serial number, that sort of thing. We can easily look it up and see what phone number is associated with that phone. No, well, I mean, the phone number, if you follow the phone number, should have a thing in it to where it says what piece of equipment it is associated with.
Brayer, credit
I mean,
card,
you can dig through that if you
side
want,
of your
but
phone folder,
honestly, the
whatever you
easiest
have.
way to do it is
Okay?
give us a call and say, I got this MAC address, what phone number is it
Now.
belong to?
Turn that over.
You know? That way we can easily look it up and take less than 5
Now we're going to
minutes,
put these
you know?
down. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in our divider, wherever I put that thing. There it is. I'm going to put my divider in.
To call us. All right.
I'm going to put glue on here, and then I'm going to glue that down. Watch.
800
Glue.
0742. We'll bring you right into my team.
Divider.
All right. Do you still want to need to set this up for a follow-up with you on Monday?
Cover.
Okay.
Use the lines on your
Or I can
grid.
set it out
Use your
further
T-square.
back if you like.
Use your ruler to make sure that these are even across. Take this out before it gets glued in permanently. Okay. Turn it over.
Okay. Would you like us to give you a call on the 24th?
Press it down. Turn it back over. Do
Well, I
the
think
same
if
thing
you're
on the
just
other
getting
side.
back into town, you know, almost so many things could happen. I figured to give you a day to settle in, you know?
Glue.
24th, and what time would be better than the rest, you know?
Divider. Your spacer. Get it in there.
We're available 24/7 during daytime in the middle of the week. We got about 60 folks on in my team alone.
Cover.
So, we got plenty.
Take that out.
So I'll set this for 12 p.m.
Turn it over.
local time, and we'll give you a call.
Press it
Not
down.
a problem, Mark. Good luck and stay safe travels, buddy. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Now, you can either add another piece on the outside if you want to, or you can just rely on your book cloth. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to let this dry for just a few seconds. And I'm going to decide how wide my book cloth needs to be. Like, how wide do I want it? And I think that I want it to be like 1 inch on either side. So I'm going to measure that. So I want my book cloth to be 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut this down to 4 1/4 while this is drying. For the sake of time, I cut my book cloth when it's folded. And because I'm right-handed, and I cut to the right, I always line up on the right. You do you, boo. I'm going to cheat and use a specialized cutter for this. You can do whatever you want. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Right there. I'm going to cut that piece off. It's really not going to be a big enough piece to use for anything else, so I will get rid of it. But if you want to use this just the way it is, then use it just the way it is. Whew, I need to replace that blade. I figured that out last time, and I still haven't done it. Let me grab my other. There we go. Okay, so this is really not going to be helpful for anything. This would work for a pad. Like if you wanted to do a pad, you wanted to cover it, that would work. Or like a notebook, a thin one, that would work. So you could keep that for that if you want to. All right. So now your next part is to bring this back in. And you have to decide where you want your pieces to meet up. I usually do it like in the middle of my book. So I put my book cloth down, put my book on there, bring my piece around, bring this piece around, and then I'm going to trim this because I don't want it to be, you know, we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this, and I'm going to use white so you guys can see, or, you know, some light color. Let me see if I can find my white pen. So I'm just going to put a mark where that comes up to, if I can get this pen to work. And I can't. Hey, wait a minute, dum-dum. You just ordered a whole thing of Taylor's chalk for your granddaughter. Okay. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to mark. That's where my piece comes up to. So I'm going to trim off just about a 1/2 inch, maybe 1/4 inch from there, because I don't need the excess bulk in there. Get out the decent trimmer because I had to change that blade. I'm just lazy. All right, so I'm going to put this on my board. Get my metal ruler. Get jumped by a ruler. So right about there. Hey man, come open. Okay. I'm going to take that part off. Because that's going to be my overlay. All right, so now we have to put, you know, you have a decision. Ah, there's a decision. Do you want your stitching to show? That's the easy way to do it. If you do not want your stitching to show, then this is something that you're probably going to want to do at a different time, and it has to be done in a different way. So the first thing we're going to do is just make sure that we've got this straight and that it meets up, and it does. Ta-da! So we're going to put glue here. Watch this. This is the best part. So we're going to put glue here. That's our anchor. Flip our cover over. Flip this over all the way. Glue here. Now, can you use tape on this? No, shut your face. I'll tell you why. Because tape is not going to dry. Tape never dries. Never, ever dries. And so what happens is, one, you're going to be putting your needle with your wax thread through tape, which is going to make your needle and your wax thread sticky. Two, it can come loose over time. I'm just going to clean this up real quick because I have to close it and I don't want to get all jammed up. So I would not recommend using tape on this. Now turn this over. This is the part where you're going to use your ball tool. Hey, man. There we go. The handle of your scissors here. Your ball tool, if you have one. The tail end of a paintbrush. You're going to find those divots and press them down. See that? Here's one. Find those divots. Press them down. Press your fabric. Okay. I'm going to find my ball tool because I'm going to be using that on the other side. Grain damage. What did you do with your ball tool? There it is. Okay. Now, turning this over. We're going to put glue on this. If at this point you are afraid of getting, ick glue on your fabric and you went through all this trouble of making the book cloth so you didn't get ick on it, use clear glue. Do not hot glue. Again, you'll have to go through that later and it will cause bumps. We don't want bumps. Pushing into our divots. Into your divots. Then we're going to glue up the bottom part. Now, this is tailor's chalk, so it will come off with a little water. No big deal. I'm going to bring up the other end here. This part. Does this matter? No, it does not. Because we're going to cover that with our end papers. Into the groove. So I'm going to use clear glue. The bog of eternal stench. So you need a board like this. Yeah. They're helpful. It is very helpful because everything, you can square everything up with it. All right. So I'm going to put a little bit of the bog of eternal stench in here. I'm staying back from the edge though, because I don't really want to get a lot. I don't want it to ooze out if I can avoid it, because I don't want to get it on the fabric, because we all know what glue looks like on fabric, right? Ha, doo-doo. We don't like it. That's why we make book cloth in the first place. Okay. So we have that all on there. We're pressing. We're pushing in. Again, if you don't have a ball tool like this, just use what you have, whether it's the edge of a scissor, maybe you're going to use the tip of a pen without the pen blade out. You could use the edge of your ruler. You can use your bone folder. Okay. All of those things will work. So we're just going to press these in because we want them nice and indented. And then we're going to fold this up. And you are going to let this dry in this position. You're training this book at this point. So paper clips, put some rubber bands around it, whatever it takes. Get it in this position and let it sit. Okay? because we're going to let that sit for a little bit. I want to come back to this and just hit on a few things. One, Els, that's freaking ugly. Yes. Yes, it is. How do we fix it? Well, end papers. End papers. So I have 2 more sheets of this paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the inside from here to here and from here to here. There's my ruler. So we are talking, pressing this as flat as I can. 11 3/4 by 8 1/4. So I'm going to be covering this with paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 11 3/4 and we're going to divide it in half because we don't really need to be fussy here. 6 inches. I'm going to cut this paper 6 inches wide. This is like wrapping presents, okay? You want to cover it and you want it to look decent. And 8 1/4. Now, I probably should have chose different paper for this because it's, you know, it's a purple book. But it's okay. You put any ink papers you want in here. I'm not actually going to glue this down. I'm actually going to use the wallpaper for it. But I wanted you guys to get the idea. So when you put this one in and then you put the other one in, just don't glue here. You're going to glue all of this and let this float. Let this part float. Don't tack it down. So you're going to stop kind of here. Okay? Let this float. And that way, when you open and close, you see how it moves a little bit? When you do this, it goes up and down. You want it to do that until you get your pages stitched in. Okay? So. Let's do this with a piece of wallpaper. You can, and I'm gonna get the book cloth on this one. It comes at the end. That's the beauty of this one. So we're gonna go ahead and take this. We are going to cut 2 pieces that are this big. I'm just gonna use this as a template because I've already, you know, measured this. By the way, I wouldn't use this wallpaper in a bathroom. It gets moist and it comes up. We don't want that. You wouldn't want that in your bathroom, right? Right. Okay. You find my line. Where's my line? Where's my freaking line? There it is. Got it. Okay. Trey. There. There. And there. Okay. All right, so now here's our book cover. Here's our, what we are now using as our end pages. And if you're using this kind of, you know, peel and stick wallpaper, cover the existing edge page. Bring this up and press. Now, is that going to tack down? Yeah, but we're going to make sure that it sits in the groove. So again, we're going to use our round tool and push this in. Gently, gently peel this up. It's not glued down yet. It's just tack. This stuff is peel and stick, so it has some give to it. Okay, bring it up, push it in, put it in, then tack that down. The idea is we don't want it to bubble. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, we're going to come in, cover our existing end paper. Go a little over it if you want to. Okay. We're going to pull this up. Press it down. Push it in. And then there we go. So now I have the outside, I have my inside covered, and it's ready. Again, we're going to pull this up, put a clip on it, and let it get used to, let it marinate and get used to that form. Okay. You're fine, honey. All right. So now we've talked about how to get your book block out if you're using a upcycled book cover. We've talked about saving that book block because you might want to use it for something. We have covered how to put the paper and how to cut the paper, measure the paper to go on your book page, your book covers. Again, if you wanted to use like a sheet of wallpaper, you would simply put this down. I would lightly press, if you've got that, I would lightly press this with a warm iron or put some books on it and let it sit for a little bit. You would bring in your cover and just go an inch all the way around. Okay, that's the size you're going to need for, you know, doing that. I have found that there are if you look really hard, sometimes you can find these, which are borders that are really tall and that will wrap a book. Okay, so you just kind of look for that. So we've covered that. We've covered using Tyvek and the alternate, you know, if you want to use it on one side or the other, but we're not done. No, because our books are not done. All right, so let's bring this one back into play. So now this one, we're going to be showing our stitching, but you can take a look and look at how like nice, like a book this looks. Okay, this looks like a book. And that's really what you're looking for. You want it to look like a book. So again, here we are. We're going to be doing our pieces on the inside. But when you measure for these, you don't really want to cover this part, you know, up. So these are going to be a little bit narrower, but you can still use the same paper, use a different color. Maybe you want to use a solid color of paper. This is blue, mostly. It's like mostly a blue. Maybe I want to use, I don't know. Let's see what we got here. We need something. Something. Anything? 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 Okay. Maybe we want to use something like this that's just a different shade. It picks up all the colors. Maybe we want to just put black in here. Maybe we just want to put like maybe a darker blue to represent his jacket because Peter Rabbit is the character that I'm going with here. Whatever that is, we're going to cut that and we're going to measure. Everything gets measured, guys, because you want it to look the way you want it to look. So I want to come in about 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch on my book binding, on my book cloth. and then about half an inch over here, kind of dividing that in half. So I'm looking for a piece that's going to be 5 inches wide and about 8 inches tall. So 5 by 8. Do I want to do this? No. We're going to do it with a color. So this is regular cardstock. I need 2 pieces that are 5 by 8. So I'm going to cut this down to 8. Use whatever you want. Use a piece of wallpaper. Use a piece of book cloth. Maybe you've got a book page. Maybe you have a page from a book like this that's part of the book that you want to use. Maybe you want to use part of your graphics. Whatever it is, just cut it to fit.
Hi, this is Mike.
This is going to be 2 pieces of 5 by 8.
Number 3264. I'm sorry, 3284.
And then again, I'm going to have leftover paper. I'm going to save this for when we come back and do ephemera.
I was calling to let you know that we've investigated that circuit.
Is this the perfect blue for this? No, it's not. Should I use a different blue? Probably, because it's going to clash pretty bad. But
that could be a problem. Also discuss what.
Yeah, it's going to clash really bad.
It is only a 1 gig connection.
So I'm not going to use it. I'm going to look. I don't want to use it. Why? Because it's going to clash really bad. Oh, wait a minute.
Auto negotiations turned on. Duplex.
Oh my bird. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to take. I'm using the end pages from the book block.
Be greatly appreciated. We can be reached 24/7 at 1-844-80.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. All right.
I thank you for using Cox Business Support. Have a fantastic day now.
See, and this is why we save things. This, I think, is the perfect color for this. I'm going to keep those. See, these are about 8 1/4, so they're a little bit taller than I would like, but they're still going to work. Look at that. Oh, I like it. I can't find 35-pound cardstock to print my journal pages and ephemera. Okay, stop. It is not 35-pound cardstock. It is 35-pound paper, and there is a difference. I can show you 110-pound paper versus 110-pound cardstock, and you'll go, holy crap, because 110-pound paper is like 65-pound, just under 65-pound cardstock. So for your ephemera pieces, like for this kind of stuff, your fussy cuts and things, your cards, your tags, yeah, if you can get 65-pound paper through your printer, by all means, use it. But for your pages itself, I'm going to say 32-pound paper, 22 to 32-pound paper, 28-pound if you can find it. And I know that you can get it at Walmart. Let me just check. Let me check Amazon, see if they deliver it real quick. £32-pound printer paper. Okay. HP has a 22-pound, which works very well. They also have a 24-pound. Hammer Mill has a 32-pound. A couple of different ones. Looks like Staples carries it. But let's go to Walmart. Okay. Yep. Yep. They do carry it. It's there's 22 pound. It's in a yellow HP wrapper, and let's see. Let's see, in store. And so we're not looking through all of these. Single reams. All right, yeah. So Walmart does sell the HP in the 22 pound, which is a good printable paper. Don't get anything that's recycled. I understand, but don't get anything that's recycled. Yeah, so it looks like that HP is probably the only one that Walmart carries that's over a 20 pound, and it's a 22 pound. It's an ultra bright, so it's a really good stark color. And it comes in a yellow package. I'm trying to see if I actually have the package here. I might. Sometimes I store it in the package. I do not. I'm sorry, I don't. But oh, that's the Astro Brights. Okay. So yeah, Walmart carries it. Staples has it. Amazon will deliver. So you have those options. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to cover this with these. Why? Because I think they go okay. And they kind of work. You know, I could do yellow and bring out the yellow. So there's a couple of options I could do here. I could do the gray, the brown for the bunny. This is kind of a human color. This is where I do the we don't know thing a lot, because this is important. Let's see. Yellow is a tricky color, you know what I mean? Because if you use yellow, you don't want it to be too bright. But you don't want it to be too pale. Oh, I kind of like this green better. All right, I'm going to use that. No, that's too brown. It's a good color, but I like the texture. All right, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to cut these out. 8 by 8. You have to kind of feel it out. You know, you may put it down the first time and go, I don't like that. That's why we dry fit everything, and we don't just slam it on there. I know that I'm working with a specific digital, so I want it to work for my digital. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this down. And I'm going to use 2 different glues. Why? Because I'm going to be working towards my fabric here, and I want this to bond to the fabric. So here, regular glue. Here, Fabri-Tac. I want my paper to bond to the fabric. Okay. Turning it over, lining it up. Now on this side, I'm going to press in towards the center. Normally I say go from the center out, but we don't want to get glue there. And then I'm going to use my regular glue on the paper part to kind of glue down my edge. Any place that it's, coming up. And then I'm going to do the other side. Bog of Eternal Stench. Have you ever smelled this stuff? Oh my God. So gross. And then glue. Might be time to clean my glue bottle out. Now I want to make sure that I'm straight, top and bottom. In, not out. In. And then out. So I'm trying not to get glue on my fabric. Okay, and any place I need to, get my needle point in here and clean that up. Yeah, I want to be able to answer questions. I know that there are quite a few of you that have wanted to do, wanted to make a journal, and you think they're beautiful and you love them. But let's be honest. And, this is coming from somebody who sells journals. I would rather you make one that you absolutely love than pay a fortune for a journal that's only 90% what you wanted. You know what I mean? And yes, your first journal is not going to be fantastic. Mine was not fantastic. I have it. I've had it for years. It's out in the garage. Is it my most favorite journal? Oh, hell no. But I did make it. Sorry, I'm cleaning up my... Now, I filled this all the way to the top, and I used about a half of that. So just give you an idea how much glue you would use. All right, so now this is put together. And again, we're going to let it dry. And how are we letting it dry? Standing it up, stand it up. Stand it in the shape you want. All right, let's take a look at this one. Looking good. All right, so this one, when you're using a pre-made cover like this one you can stitch your signatures into and then cover this with your book cloth. That will cover your signature stitching. If you want the stitching to show, then just put your book cloth on now, just like you did on the other book. Open it up. Look at what your distance is here on your pre-existing book cloth. And then add a little bit to it. Let me see where my ruler has gone off to. Here it is. This one is approximately 3.5. So I would go like 4, just so I cover this and I have enough to put in the divot. because you can see, look, this they've put a divot in here. See that? It's a divot, just like we do. Okay, divot. With this one, you don't have to use any Tyvek because this becomes your Tyvek. So I would just go like a quarter of an inch wider than the existing book cloth that's on here, and then go ahead and cut yours. So for this particular book, I would cut it at 4 inches because this is 3.5. So I would cut it at 4. That gives me about a quarter of an inch to go on the outside on each side. And again, for that one, because you've already stitched in your signatures, here's the thing. You're not going to be able to get that far. So you're only going to wrap just a little bit, just enough to cover it when you do that. And we'll do that when we get to the part where we put the signatures in, because for this one, we're going to be hiding the signatures under our book cloth. Now, if you don't want to hide your signatures, wrap that puppy, just like we did the other one, okay? So I'm going to let this stand. I think we've covered everything in the syllabus. Where is that little sucker? I don't know. Your dumbass buried it on the desk. Way down underneath everything. I have lost the syllabus. Haha! I found it. The kitty's stupid. Okay. So, let's see. Let me put away 967,000 things that are on my desk currently that don't need to be here. Keep your spacer for future work.
Oh, good God. I got that just. Oh my God.
All right, so covers. We are going to build a cover from chipboard, which we did. We have used our chipboard. We've used some liquid glue. We used our Tyvek. We used a cutting tool. We used our rulers. We did cover with paper and liners. We talked about all of that. Wallpaper, scrapbook paper, any other large pieces of paper that you want to use. We talked about book cloth. We talked about using a brayer or an old credit card or however you do it. And we are at this point going to be doing the last part of our cover piece. And that means you need to get out a piece of scrap paper. It doesn't matter what the weight of this is. All that matters is that it's the same height as your book. So we want a scrap piece of paper that is the height of your book, all the way from the top to the bottom. And this one is not. So this one would be. So I'm going to cut this down to 9 inches. That's what he said. Because this is that part. This, I think, is probably the most important part of any journal. And that is getting this stuff right. So now I'm going to cut this. My spine is 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this about 1 3/4. 1 7/8, right between 1 3/4 and 2 inches. I just want to make sure that it fits in here. And it does. This piece is what we're going to be working on. If you have a scoreboard, use your scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, use your ruler. But first thing we're going to do is all handwork here. We're going to fold this in half. Just fold it in half, line it up, make sure it's straight. Okay? In half. That's it. Fold it in half. And then you're going to want to come in an inch here. So at this point, I would just mark this with a ruler and a pencil. I'm going to grab my pencil. I'm going to grab my ruler. Any ruler will do. I'm going to mark this at an inch. And then I'm going to fold it on that mark. Fold it in. Use my bone folder. Get the fold in there. Okay? Then I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to put the lines on here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Because I know this is kind of a... What the hell? This part can be confusing. All right. So there's my 3 sections. My 3 lines. Okay? 4 sections, 3 lines. Now I'm going to take this fold right here. I'm going to fold it back. And I'm going to fold this end to the middle. And then I'm going to press that fold. Put the line on here so that you guys can see what I did. And then we're going to do it to the other side as well. Now, again, we're going to fold this back and then fold that fold to this line. And press it down. Stitching in is probably the hardest part of making a journal. I get a lot of people who go, that's the part that gets me. Like, I don't know where to put the stitching. I don't know how to make it stay. I've done like 10 signatures, but I've never had the goal to put it in, you know, to keep it in. Like to actually sew it in. So now we are doing a 2 signature journal. That's what I've set this up to do, a 2 signature. That way, you know, we can do one kind of together. And then you'll have like a week to play and have fun with the other ones. The first thing we're going to do is by hand, we're going to fold this in half. If you have a scoreboard, use your scoreboard. It's entirely up to you. But I'm just going to kind of roughly fold this in half and hit it with my bone folder. I'm going to put a line down the center. You don't need to do this, guys, but I'm putting it down so that you guys can see what I'm doing in each step. So now I roughly have an inch on this side and roughly an inch on that side. It's like just a hair under on each side, okay? So now I need to find where I'm going to put my signatures. So any place over here that I want to, I can put my signature, but I'm going to basically do this. Let me get the ruler that'll show this. Here's the one. I'm going to basically do this at a 1/2 inch, just under 1/2 inch from the center. And I'm going to draw a line. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This is my top. This is my A line. This is my B line. These are where my holes are going to be. Where this intersects, and I'm going to take this part out because you guys don't need to see this because I don't want you to be confused with it. So we're going to take that center line out. I just wanted you to be able to see it for the making of the template. So you now have a piece that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crossings and 2 lines down the center. These lines are where you're going to be doing poking. Now you can do this now or you can do this later. I'm going to tell you, if you want to make a pokey pad, you know that kid felt, the kid foam that you can get, the craft foam? Get 4 or 5 pieces of it, cut them in half, glue them together, let them dry, pokey pad. Use your book block. You can use that as well. An awl, an ice pick, or my personal favorite. Where did I put it? Because I know I pulled it out last night so I could show you guys. Here we go. If you went to your husband's work area where he has his working supplies, you know, his tools, you're going to find something that looks like this. It's for setting nails. You can use one of these. Just steal it. He'll never know the difference. But you can always get one of these. And all you're going to do is make sure that it's perfectly up and down and poke a hole. Poke a hole. Poke a hole. Poke a hole. You're going to be poking 10 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 on both lines, 10 holes. That is your template. Okay? So I think we've covered everything. If you have questions or anything like that, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Also, if you don't have one of these pokey tools, just use your needle. Use your needle. Put one of those little rubber finger caps or something on it so you don't poke your finger and just go boom, 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 boom. You just want to get your basic holes in there, okay? What else could you use? I don't know. Whatever you got that makes a hole. But you want to make sure you mark your top and your AB line because that's going to be important when we go into making our signatures. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing next week. So we have done both book covers in both ways. You have a week to work this out, a week to contact me if you need any additional information. Also, if you think that something was unclear in my description, please let me know because I want this to be like, you know, a class that's out there that's free, that's totally free. And I want people to be able to go in and look at it and go, yeah, I can do that. Okay. So next week, we're going to be doing our signatures. Now, each of you got, I don't know, 8, 10, maybe 12 pieces of paper in the kit if you bought the kit. Otherwise, you have, you know, your own paper that you're going to be using. We're going to be talking about using scrapbook paper and how to fix it. Because one side is pretty and the other side is white. We're going to be talking about printer paper, colored paper, notebook papers, ledger sheets, all of the different kinds of paper that we can use to put into signatures. We are going to be talking about those.
Ozzy. Dude, relax.
We're also going to be talking about the things that you can add in. Envelopes, index cards, wallpaper, junk mail, all that kind of stuff. Anything that you want to add into this. We're going to be talking about that. So you're going to need any kind of paper that you want to use in your journal. You're going to need some kind of cutting tool, preferably like a craft knife or a box knife. You're also going to be needing some clips. Now, that can be this kind of a clip or this kind of a clip or this kind of a clip or these kinds of clips. Clips means a lot of things. If you don't have any of those, wood laundry clips work. A bone folder or similar tool for folding. Again, that could be one of these. You can pick these up at the Dollar Tree. It can be an actual bone folder. It can be like the handled kind. I don't have one out here right now. It could be the back of a butter knife. If you have a ruler that kind of has a rounded edge, you could use that. You know, something. A card, that's what you're going to want. You're going to want possibly a corner rounder. That's optional. Also, ink and a dauber is optional, okay? because not everybody rounds all the corners on their journals. Not everybody inks every single page. You see a lot of people doing it. And it's kind of a personal preference. So if you're somebody who wants to do the inking and things like that, then by all means, get you out, ink and a dauber. Stick with a neutral color, please, not vintage photo. Vintage photo turns orange over time. Not a good look. Just saying. So those are the things that we're going to want for next week. And we're going to be back at the same time. It's going to be 11 o'clock my time, 12, 1, and 2 across the country. And then, of course, you have a whole week to work on this. I will say this. Please don't ask me questions about this in other live streams. Make sure that you email me or instant message me those questions directly, because I don't want to take away from other, and I don't want the question to be in another video that's not getting addressed in these videos, because what I'm going to do with these is once we're done, I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit these. So I'm going to leave it up for the whole week so that you can come back and look at it. But eventually I'm going to go in and edit them and answer the questions that I've received in that video so that you guys will understand those. Okay. So that if there's something I missed and you had a question about it, I can get it in there. So that's kind of the thing. So you're going to need, if you're going to use a digital and you want to count on those digitals to actually be physical pages in your journal, you're probably going to want to get that printed off. Otherwise, you're not going to need your digital until the 3rd week. Okay. So that's it. If you want a copy of this, it's in the description. You go down there and click on it. It's going to take you to my Google Drive and you can get a copy of this syllabus so you know what's going on here. But I think that's it. I said this would be about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We're just over the 2-hour mark, which means we did pretty good. Let's see. So, yeah, I think that's everything, guys. I want to thank you guys for participating in this. It means a lot to me that you're willing to have the faith to go through this with me and help me put this program together so that it can be a part of my channel. And if you're just coming into this, please remember, this is totally free. This is a completely free class. Yes, there is a pack that you can buy from my Etsy shop that will include all of the bits, pieces, and parts that you need to build the base of the book, minus the paper. But you're going to get the book itself, the spine. You're going to get the book cloth that covers it. You're going to get the clips to hold it all together. You're going to get the spacer that you need to space this out. You're going to get some paper in there that's going to help you to, get started on your signatures. So it's going to give you a lot of the stuff that you need. It's also going to include linen thread and a needle so that you can stitch your signatures in. That's all going to be included. Eventually, I will have a link to that in the description below. I don't know that I'm going to have it right now because I haven't put any of these kits in the shop yet. But the class itself is free. So if you have all of your own supplies and you can get a list of those on the syllabus, then, you take this, you can do this completely free. We also, are going to cover all of the other things. So I'm going to be making a journal along here as we go through this with you. So do not lose your template. Clip it in your book or put it in your paper sack, your bag or whatever you're using, this thing, whatever you're using for your project. Make sure that you keep that in there with your digitals and stuff because you don't want to lose that, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have to make a new one at the end, and then it's going to be a pain in the butt, and you're going to forget a whole bunch of stuff that you needed to do, and like size, and you're going to have to remeasure, and it's just a pain in the ass. So put it away and keep it, okay? Hi, Patty Ann. I think the kit even includes book corners. We're going to talk about those too. So you got everything that you need in here. That's it, guys. I do appreciate all of you coming in here and helping me with this and getting this going. It's something that I've had people ask me for a few years, and I haven't done it. And so I was like, now's the time. I'm just going to do this because there are some people, and you know who you are, that have been like, I really love journals, but I'm afraid. I don't want to do it. It's going to fall apart. It's not going to fall apart, guys. We're going to make this work, okay? We're going to make this last. You're going to love this. All right. She did. She modded all by herself, and she was fabulous. All right. So remember also, if you guys want to get a digital kit and you don't know what you're looking for, go on over. There's a link in the description below for it, but I just want to make sure that I make a note of it for everybody. Marjorie has her shop over on Etsy, and she is giving a 50% discount off of any one of her journal kits. They're complete kits. They've got pockets, and they've got tags, and they've got paper, and they've got full pages, and they've got cut aparts, and they've got fussy cuts, and just everything. So you can go over there and you can look at her kits, and she's going to give you 50% off. Just put in BMA 001, and she'll get 50%. You'll get 50% off one of her kits. Okay. That's it, guys. I am out of here. I will see you all tonight for some mixed media. So until then,
Bye.
you all have my deepest gratitude and my most sincere love. I love each and every one of you. You guys know that. But stay hydrated and stay well. And stay out of the rain, Miss Chris.
Nah, go dance in that rain.
Not if it's hailing.
Okay. Hail bad, rain good.
Hail bad,
Dance
rain
in the
good.
rain.
Dance in the rain. That's right.
Enjoy
All right.
life.
I love you guys, and I will see you all soon. Bye, guys.